Well, hey there, guys. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back here to the channel for our open mic, where all we do is take your live comments and questions. You guys dictate what it is we're going to be talking about here today. It's kind of like a version of the John Campea Show, but, just like half of it where it's a little bit more laid back, a little bit more relaxed, just hearing from you guys. And today was neat. I didn't have a chance. I was going to have, actually, on the show today, on open mic. There's a girl I've been following on online for a little while. Her name's Gotham Geek Girl, and you can look her up. And I've been following her stuff for a while, and she happened to be visiting LA and was in Burbank, and so we got together, had dinner the other night, and then she came in to see the operation here today. We were going to have her on actually open mic with us today for those of you who follow her and know her stuff, but unfortunately, because of the schedule we had to get her back to Burbank sooner than we originally wanted her to go, but it was the only time we could arrange for a ride for her to go. But anyway, so it's just you and me. And of course, the Yahoos sitting behind the camera. They're going to be here too. And we're here to take your live comments and questions. It's good to have you guys here today. So let's not waste any time and get right into it, shall we? Got Jonathan joining me here today. So Jonathan, what do we got?
All right. So we've got some support from Kevin Peterson first off.
Thank you, Kevin.
Followed by TJ Perry, who writes, in Quantumania, Janet finds out that at the end of her time with Jonathan Majors, his name is Kang. What did she call him before that?
Oh, hey, you? That's I've
Tim.
And I should call him Tim. I didn't even think about that. What he probably went by some kind of pseudonym that I guess wasn't important for us to know. I mean, maybe they did mention it and I just didn't pay attention enough because the movie wasn't good enough to pay attention to. That's a very good question. You know what? The next time I watch it, I am going to watch it at least one more time. Like I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. And I think I'm going to go and watch it at least one more time. And this time when I do, I think I will keep a closer eye on it. I will keep some say Buddy. They call them Buddy. All right. What's next?
Okay, Nate, next up we've got Fangblaze71. Do you think multiverse will be destroyed or cut off in some way after Secret Wars? I'd like it to be, but I doubt they will.
Yes. Now, granted, I thought they were going to do that in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Like before last CinemaCon, when Kevin Feige got on stage and said, this new phase is the multiverse saga. Well, then my theory went out the window because up until that point, I really did think that Doctor Strange the Multiverse of Madness was going to be the movie where they closed off the multiverse. Clearly, that was nowhere remotely real, as we are now in the multiverse saga. But yes, I think since they're calling it the multiverse saga, that means it's building up to a conclusion. And if you understand even the basic principles of Secret Wars, obviously the movie's going to be different from the comic story. In which ways we don't know yet. But yes, I do believe they're going to kind of use Secret Wars to kind of close off the multiverse chapter of the MCU. If the MCU survives to that point, obviously they're too big to fail at this point. But I mean, I think this multiverse story has been a mistake. I think it's alienated a bunch of the more casual average moviegoers who are the people that make the movie such a big hit. But yes, I do believe they will close it off with Secret Wars, at least fingers crossed. All right, what's next?
All right, Darth Grant writes, I think the mistake was choosing to only do Avengers movies at the end of sagas instead of phases, which makes the multiverse saga a big phase one.
Well, I mean, they haven't, right? Like there were 4 Avengers movies by the end of the Infinity War saga. The Infinity Stone saga, right? Because you had Avengers 1 and Avengers 2, and then came Infinity War, and which was also, by the way, Infinity War. There were other MCU movies after Infinity War before Endgame happened. So they haven't done it that way. I do think it was an odd choice to go so long because when does, Ray, maybe you can look this up. I can't remember. Was it 2025? When does Kang Dynasty supposed to come out? Can't remember if it's supposed to be 2025 or okay, until you tell me otherwise, I'm going to assume it's 2025. So
2025.
2025? Okay. So that means, and when was Endgame? 2019? 2018. Yeah, I think it was 2019. Yeah. So it's going to be 6 years?
Yeah.
6 years in between Avengers films? I don't know. That seems like an odd choice. Now you can say, well, they need time to build up to a new Avengers. Well, they're certainly not taking advantage of it because right now the MCU feels completely disconnected. Like we don't even know who's in the Avengers, let alone who's leading it. How are they organized? What are they doing? But yeah, I agree. I think they probably should have had, and it doesn't even have to be at the end of, remember, phases are fake. Don't forget that. Phases are fake. Phases are just arbitrarily, artificially made up numbers to kind of give us a sense of when certain movies happen. But really, the sagas are really more relevant than the phases. So I don't know that they needed to have an Avengers movie at the end of phases, because again, those are all just fake made up things anyway. But at least, an Avengers movie every 3 years, every 2 to 3 years, maybe for an Avengers film, I think would have been a good idea. But let's see what they have planned going forward.
Yeah. I mean, the pandemic kind of threw that.
I mean, yeah,
works,
absolutely. So. That threw a wrench. But even if you take out though, say 2 years, let's take 2 years out for the pandemic.
Right.
We're still talking like a 4-year gap in between Avengers films, which seems like a little bit. Seems like a bit much. But
yeah, definitely. There was this Phase 4. It felt like it was a lot longer because it wasn't capped.
Good. Because it wasn't capped.
Yeah, stretched because it wasn't capped by
Because listen, there's been a lot of content in Phase 4 between the movies and the TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you want to measure it instead of in time, measure it by at one Avengers film for every X number of MCU projects, right? This has got to be the longest gap they've ever had.
It's a stretch.
Yeah, even just for number of projects. Yeah. So,
and I guess it doesn't really help to the point of like, where is this going? And that there isn't any kind of a bookend. So you're just like, wow, this keeps going on and there's no,
Yep, no shape is taking form yet. All right, what's next?
All right, Amin asks, will I enjoy Creed 3 if I haven't watched the previous 2, or should I watch those first?
I would recommend, look, Creed 3, you can easily walk in and just watch on its own. No doubt. I mean, it's not that complex of a thing. Not to mention the main antagonist in this film, Damien, is not in the other 2 films and never referenced in the other 2 films either. So you would be fine to just walk in and watch Creed. However, Creed 1 and Creed 2 have just been added to HBO Max. So I would recommend, look, you can go in cold into Creed 3, no problem, you're gonna have a good time. But if you want to get a little bit more out of it, I would say, and if you got HBO Max, pop on HBO Max and check out the first 2. I think you'll be glad that you did. But if you can't, no worries, you can go into Creed 3 and be just fine.
Yeah. You'll miss some of that character story arc, which was great. So
yeah, you'll miss some of the nuance, but as far as just being able to get the story, you'll be fine. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Fangblaze71 again, who writes, Mando Season 3 shouldn't have had a previously on, but instead have started with somehow Grogu returns.
Somehow. Grogu, because if you didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett, which maybe, listen, I know there are people who are not Star Wars fans. Mandalorian got people who are not Star Wars fans to watch a Star Wars thing. Mm-hmm. And there are people out there who have only watched Mandalorian. They did not watch Book of Boba Fett. Now, I'm not saying they're in the majority, but, if you were one of those people, you just turned it on. It's like, wait a minute, the last I watched, at the end of Mandalorian Season 2, how is Grogu here, right? Yeah, maybe they should have covered that a little bit, I think, in the previous on, because they didn't in there. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Darth Grant, who writes, and let me see if I can resize this just so I can get you in here a little better. All right, Darth Grant writes, personally, I disagree with the assessment of the MCU status you guys gave earlier. The issue I'm seeing is that the multiverse saga is an extended Phase 1.
Irrelevant. Even if you want to look at it that way, that doesn't change the assessment whatsoever. Because even in Phase 1, starting right from Iron Man, they were developing the identity of the MCU right from the beginning. And I'm not just talking about, Nick Fury showing up at the end of Iron Man 1 saying, I'm putting something together called the Avengers Initiative, although that's certainly part of it. But you immediately launched into, with the main character, like right in the first part, you're launching with the characters who are going to be the main identity and the main faces of the MCU, particularly with Tony and with Steve Rogers, Captain America, right? And then everything kind of built around that. You can say you're looking at Phase 4 as if it's a kind of a Phase 1 thing again, but they're not doing any of the things they did in phase 1 to build the identity and the sense of direction that the MCU is going to go. Because right in the early films of phase 1, you had that sense of identity of the MCU, and you kind of had a sense of where it was heading and where it was going. Phase 4 did none of that. We are no closer. Like, what they should have done, and I don't care which character they did it with. It doesn't matter which character they did it with. They should have kind of started off phase 4 in the first couple of projects of kind of setting up who are the new main faces of the MCU. Now, I get it. You may want to be very, very, democratic and say, well, no one's the leader of the MCU. Everybody's equal. I get that. But man, you think of U2, Bono is the front man of U2, right? You think of, I don't even know what band it was Justin Timberlake was in. NSYNC. Okay, I never knew it was one of the Blocks or the Fahrenheits or the Syncs, whatever it was. But Justin Timberlake. And whichever one, Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Whichever one he was in, right? Like, I get you say, no, all the characters are equal. No, they're not. And if you're going to build a cinematic universe, you got to kind of build your identity, and your identity is built around characters. And phase 4, while there are a few things in phase 4 I loved, like there's a number of things in phase 4 I absolutely loved, but as a whole, they've dropped the ball, because you can say it's like a restarting phase 1, but they're doing none of that essential groundwork that phase 1 did right from the beginning. So I don't know. We'll see where they go with it.
Let me bring this up. A lot of the movies in phase 1, none of them really mentioned any of the other superheroes, and it was Nick Fury that came in at the end to tie them together, right? Right? Like to tie, after Iron Man 1, was it Nick Fury?
Nick Fury came up, showed up at Tony Stark, said, I'm putting together the Avengers
Right,
mission,
and then the next one was the Hulk. The guy comes in and says, hey, I'm going to put the Thunderbolt Ross, right? He goes up to... Wait, I'm forgetting.
Well, you're talking about Tony then having dinner with Thunderbolt Ross later.
Right.
And then,
so
of course, you have Nick Fury with
scenes,
Captain America.
All the
that
end
kind of
credit scenes.
But it's not about crossovers. Like, it's not about... Like, right from the beginning, though, your meetings, they clearly were establishing Tony is one of the faces of this thing. And then Steve was one of the faces of this thing. And then they made sure they had that connective tissue in there with, with Nick Fury. And then they started to identify where they're going. The Infinity Stones were in there right away, all that kind of stuff. Like, so you had a sense of what is the personality of this thing we're calling the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Who are the main faces of it? And kind of what's the direction of the story? All that you kind of were able to figure out in the first couple of films. Whereas in phase 4, nobody knows what's going on. Then there have been some great individual things, but just, again, nobody really knows what's going on.
And all I could think about is how pivotal Chadwick Boseman was before he passed away.
Or would have been.
To what? Yeah, would have been.
For all we know, they had no plan still, but maybe he could have been the centerpiece of it.
Yeah.
We just don't know. By the way, Jonathan, some people in the live chat are saying we might have missed one of the questions from a Cutter Hale. I don't know if we did. I didn't see a Cutter Hale on the list there.
It's not below us. It's probably above us.
Okay. All right, let's just keep rolling then.
Darth Grant is back. If Guardians 3 is amazing, who stands to benefit from it more, MCU or James Gunn's DCU?
MCU. I think there's going to be a lot of people who see the movie that even if his name is plastered over the credits, they'll have no idea that the guy who directed this film. Like those of us who watch shows like this and do shows like this, we are keenly aware.
Right.
But a lot of the average movie-going audience never knows the name of a director and they don't care. The MCU stands to benefit the most. Now, listen, everybody stands to benefit.
Sure.
Right? It's good for everybody. If Guardians 3, number one, if Guardians 3 is great, everybody benefits. If Guardians 3 is successful, everybody benefits. But I think it's pretty clear that it's the MCU that benefits most because the audience is knowing that it's an MCU film they're watching. Those of us who know James Gunn did it, it'll make us a little bit even more confident in him being over at DC. But the biggest winner out of it will be Marvel. All right, what's next?
All right, Justice Sub 32 writes, if you guys ever decided to do play and chat, I recommend the Life is Strange series. It's a heavily narrative-driven game with simplistic gameplay. Ray, don't you play that game?
That is one of my top games of all time. Just the very first one. It's just a good game. I was telling Taylor earlier because he never heard of it. to play it if you can. The story just was like, it was so innovative, the whole thing at the time. And I don't want to talk too much about it, just in case some people haven't played it, because there is like
Did you play the second one?
it's very spoilers. Yeah, I did. It was okay, but the first one is the one that you have to play. That's the one with all the juice in it.
All the juice.
Because I think they have 3 now, and then they made spin-offs off of characters that people liked in the first one. Like I think the side girl, she got her own game, but the very first one's the one that everyone has.
Yeah, I remember you liked talking about that one a lot. All right, what's next?
All right. The Geeky Unlimited writes, A Man Called Otto was the first sleeper hit of the year. Good reviews and box office, now streaming. Have you seen it yet?
You know what? I have not, because the first person I knew who saw it that then talked about it to me didn't like it. And I was like, oh, damn. Because I like Tom Hanks a lot. And obviously, you know, Tom Hanks is my wife's favorite movie star. Like by miles, her favorite movie star. And so I'm like, and I hate going to movies that I want to be good so bad that end up being bad. So I'm like, you know what? I just skipped it. And I regret that I did, because after that, a lot of the word of mouth after was actually really, really, really good. So Ann and I were talking about that the other day. So we're going to sit down and watch it at some point here. But no, I skipped A Man Called Otto because I didn't want, because listen, I'll be honest. Look, I watched Pinocchio. All right.
I loved it, right?
And it broke my heart because it's so bad and it's got Tom Hanks. And I'll tell you what else. Tom Hanks has done a couple of sucky movies lately, because there was the Pinocchio movie. And then there was that one on Apple TV Plus with the robot. Finch. Terrible. Not as bad as Pinocchio.
Oh, don't even say it too. I know where you're going with
And then he did that one about the World War II battleship. Greyhound. Thank you. Not good.
You didn't like that one either?
I didn't like that one either.
Well, I'm the captain now.
That is not Greyhound. That's a totally different Tom Hanks at sea
I know,
movie.
but you're crapping on Tom Hanks so much
that you are the captain now.
Movie. I had to bring up a good movie. Right?
So I just
like Terminal, baby.
I've had my heart broken so much by watching Tom Hanks films that I don't end up liking that. I'm like, A Man Called Otto looked like the next Finch, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna take a pass. But then I heard nothing but good things, so I'm gonna watch it soon. All right, what's
Can
next?
you imagine that though? Tom Hanks finally does a movie with Steven Spielberg, and it's The Terminal.
It breaks my heart.
Wow! Oh, you're on that.
It's just not his best movie.
I see what side.
I'm not a hater, but it's not his best.
It's like a.
Okay,
it's like
people just don't like being happy. That's fine. Go ahead and watch your sad, depressing movies. I want to be depressed. We can't have like a fake.
Yeah, why wasn't
story?
he sad in that movie?
Come on, they had freaking Andor in there.
Everybody needs a fake airport love story.
Andor was trying to date Gamora in that movie. Why can't you appreciate that? Do you remember that? Do you remember the film?
I do.
You didn't think it was cute how he was trying to hook up Andor?
That's how he got his job with the Narcos.
Come on, man.
Started at the
They
airport.
saw him in that and thought, you are the next star of
And
Marcos.
they had Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci, indeed.
All right, Fanjectures here with Picard episode 3 was fantastic. So many emotions.
You know what? I watched episode 1, which I thought was good, but quite frankly, I thought Picard season 1, episode 1 was a better episode. So I didn't see what the big deal of it was. So I am behind 2 episodes because I really liked Picard season 1. Was not a huge fan of Picard season 2, to be honest. But I'm looking forward to watch this. I like the first episode, so I'm 2 behind now. So that's I got to get caught up. But I heard good things about episode 3, so kind of stoked. All right, what's next?
All right, Eddie Burton writes, I'm a weird one and like Creed 2 the most, but Creed 3 was great. I actually wish it was longer, taking its time on a few story aspects. It felt rushed.
I disagree that it felt rushed because the two are not mutually exclusive concepts. You can both wish they spent a little bit more time on certain things, but that doesn't necessarily mean the movie felt rushed. I never once felt the movie was rushed, but I do agree that there were a few elements that would have been nice if they lingered on a little bit. For example, it would have been
Wait.
put up the spoiler warning.
Oh, okay.
This is minor because you guys all know that Sylvester Stallone is not in the movie, right? Like that's a big deal. Everybody's made a big story out, so everybody knows that already. But Rocky's never even mentioned And when like Ann and I went back and watched Rocky or Creed 1 and 2, and it's like Creed is such, or Rocky is such an important figure in Creed's life. The fact that we get into Creed 3 and Rocky is never even mentioned.
Yeah, like not even like a photo on his.
No. I mean, there is one quick, very quick passing reference to, oh, like the fight between Apollo and Rocky, like Apollo and Rocky's first fight. Like that was it. It would have been nice if they spent a little bit of time to have some sort of narrative explanation about why Rocky, who was so important to Adonis, is now not even remotely a part of his life.
That has everything to do with what happened, the fallout.
Off camera, yeah, but on camera, you got to do something.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a script or whatever that he was written in more. But the thing between them, like how I don't want to get into it, but you know how the drama, how he won't support a film.
Oh yeah,
and this and that, and then it's kind of like. I think it's one of those things where it's you can't win on either side. Like
no, I agree, but it's just me.
It didn't do anything for the movie for me though.
It especially, I won't say what scene, but Ray, you know the scene.
Yeah.
There is one scene where it's like, and where is Rocky? I mean, if they just at least said, oh yeah, man, ever since Rock lost his leg climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, he's not able to get out west very much. Like even just something to kind of give some kind of explanation as why he's not there.
But for anyone who's gonna go see it and like wonder about that, like the stuff that John pointed out to me after the film about what we're talking about, I didn't notice it in the film. Like it's only after when he brought it up and I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that's weird. So though it's not too much of a missing thing.
It doesn't throw the movie
Yeah.
off entirely.
Right.
It just became quite noticeable, especially after watching Creed 1 and 2 again.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, we can take the spoiler warning down. All right, what's up next?
All right, Raymond Reddington asks, what are your thoughts on season 3 of Picard so far?
Again, only saw one episode so far. I've got 2 episodes I got to get caught up on. Again, I thought the first episode was quite good, but it felt I had to sit down with Rob and say, Rob, listen, you're talking about how much you love Picard season 3. Now, granted, he has seen all of it, whereas I, at the time, had only seen the first episode. But and you talk about how great episode 1 is, but I'm like, Rob, episode 1 of season 3 feels just like episode 1 of season 1. And you hated one and hated the other. And like this was similar and this was similar and this was similar. And like, I'm like, why did you hate it that much? And he said, you just got to watch more, which is a perfectly legitimate thing to say. So I'm like, okay, so I've got to get caught up a little bit more, but I saw the first episode and I enjoyed the first episode. So maybe tonight, well, actually, I'm going to go see Operation Fortune tonight, the new Guy Ritchie, Jason Statham
nice
movie. But maybe later after that, when we get home, I might try to watch the next 2 episodes of
And for everyone watching, taking the time to watch, I'm going to give you the truth. After John said that to Rob, that it's the same, Rob and John haven't filmed together since that day.
We haven't spoken since.
Like we filmed Rob's parts. When John throws it to Rob, Rob's not really here.
Jonathan actually edits it together.
They refuse to even be in the same room.
It's like The Rock and Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious.
Yeah. So
I cut out a section of Rob's house and made it look like the set. He's shooting from there.
Just post-production wizardry.
Yeah.
Post-production wizardry. All right, what's next?
All right, Cutter Hale is next.
See, there it is. We didn't miss him.
Oh, yeah. Saw Creed 3 last night. Loved it. Going to see Operation Fortune tonight. Wow. And right now, I'm the only person in the theater. Are you going to see it?
Well, as I just mentioned, I am going to go see. Ann and I are going to go see it tonight. But I'm not going. I don't have my phone on me right now. It's in my office. But, so I was sitting having lunch. I realized that Operation Fortune opens tonight, and I love Guy Ritchie. I even love Ray. I love his King Arthur movie.
I love King Arthur, baby.
Yeah.
I like that Charlie Hunnam King Arthur movie. I don't care what anybody else says.
Nice movie.
It's a good, fun movie.
I like to call that one nice.
Obviously, I love Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I love his film Snatch, which is in my top 20 favorite films of all time. I thought he did a phenomenal job with Aladdin. I really like that one he did with Charlie Hunnam and Matthew McConaughey, The Gentleman, although Henry Golding was in that as well. I love that movie. I really love Guy Ritchie as a director. And the fact that he's working with Jason Statham again from Snatch and Lock, Stock, I'm really down. But I'll tell you what, guys, they have shown no faith in this movie because they have not marketed this film at all. Like at all. But I'm going to see it. But anyway, so as I was bringing up my tickets, bringing up the AMC app to buy my tickets. I think there were like 6 seats. I think there were like 6 seats sold.
Wow.
So it's going to be me and about maybe 10 other people in there tonight.
You know what's getting all the ticket buys? Because I know Ryan's going to go see it. Everyone's watching Creed tonight.
Yeah. Well, Ann and I were going to go see Creed 3 again tonight.
I was thinking about it, but I need some sleep. So.
All right. What's next?
All right. We got Dildar the Glorious. You guys should torture Chris by making her play the Dead Space remake.
I mean, I still somehow, I'm going to get Chris
to
do a watch, to do a viewing of The Descent. Now, I'm not going to do anything that has any eye violence to her, because that is a particular trigger for her. But one of these days, I'm going to sit her down and we're going to film her watching The Descent. Even though Aaron can't do it anymore, but I'm going to get that one of these days.
It's a good movie.
I love that movie. It's like my second favorite horror movie of all time. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Kyle Schneider, who writes, Champions was fine, but extremely predictable.
Yeah, listen, I thought it looked terrible. We're talking about the Woody Harrelson film where he becomes coach of a special needs basketball team. And I'll be honest with you, the trailer didn't really do anything for me. But I've heard from a couple of people now that it's quite solid. So like even your comment there is on the positive side. So I've heard some pretty decent things about it. I'm going to put it on mine to watch this. I'm going to check it out. All right, what's next?
All right, Kyle's back here. I heard that 65 had its first test screenings only a few weeks ago. I don't necessarily believe it, but if true, should we be concerned?
No. First of all, whenever you hear a story about a test screening, listen to me. Listen to me. Listen up.
Listen up.
Pay close attention.
Open your ears. He's about to say something.
So,
if it's good or not, we don't know yet. But
whenever you hear a story about a test screening, it's bullshit. It's a lie. It's made up.
It's BS, baby.
Unless it's coming from the director of the movie or the producers of the movie or the studio puts out an official word. Anytime you hear, oh man, did you hear the test screens for this? The audiences did backflips and they started masturbating in the theater out of joy because it was the most... Don't believe it. It's a lie.
Liars.
Whenever you hear a story about, oh, there was which was the movie where they said people were walking out of a test screening?
That was one recently. It was...
was it Aquaman?
Was it Aquaman?
Maybe. Now, don't believe it. It's a lie. I'm not saying that any of the Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart websites are lying. I'm sure somebody told them that, but whoever told them that was lying. It's like whenever you hear that, because there are so many NDAs, legally binding NDA contracts and this and that and the other thing that are all put in place, do not believe for a second about anything. Now, even if true, if a studio, like when they do a test screening means nothing. It like doesn't mean anything good. It doesn't mean anything bad. Because you can look at it two ways. If they test screened, like first of all, if they did their first test screening a few weeks ago, well, there's nothing they can do. What's the point of a test screen a few weeks? You can't change anything in the movie at this point. Like maybe they did a test screening a few weeks ago to kind of get a gauge about the best way to market the movie or something like that. Either way, when a studio does test screening, not that you should believe this story at all anyway, when they do a test screening is irrelevant. Doesn't mean anything good, doesn't mean anything bad. So I wouldn't worry about it one way or the other. Plus, the story is probably 100% bullshit anyway. All right.
Is he training to be a Jedi here? Is that like
you guys had that look, that's exactly what that is. Holy crap. It's Dagobah. 65 happens at Dagobah.
Yeah.
You heard it right here. All right. What's next?
All right. Next up, we've got Kyle one more time. Seeing Creed 3 tonight.
I think you're going to have a good time, man. It's a damn, obviously all film is subjective. Maybe it doesn't hit you in the right way. That's possible. But for me, it's a fantastic movie. Had a really, really good time with it. I hope you enjoy it too, man. All right, what's next?
All right, Chris Miner's next. I finally watched Triangle of Sadness. It was a fantastic movie all around with great discussions on class and society.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll win any Oscars, but I'm definitely rooting for it.
I can't even remember how many Oscar noms it got. It didn't get a Best Picture nomination, did it?
Was that for this year?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I can look at...
no, I know a lot of people talked about it. I don't know how many nominations it got. I mean, there might be a couple of the technical, like maybe a costume
Best
design.
Picture?
It did get a Best Picture nomination?
Best Director, Best Original Screenplay.
I knew it was nominated for Best Director. Okay, yeah, no. I don't think it wins for any of those. It definitely doesn't win for Best Picture. It definitely doesn't win for Best Director. That's most likely going to be the Daniels.
Original Screenplay?
What's it up against in the original screenplay?
It's probably, isn't it up against everything?
Everything
it's
everywhere.
It's up against everything, Banshees, Fablemans.
Yeah.
Any one of those three will beat it out. So you're right. It probably won't win anything, but it's a fabulous movie. It's an interest. It's the kind of movie that's not for everybody. I mean, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah,
but
the title.
I thought it was quite good. I thought it was really quite good. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Fangblaze 71. My biggest worry for Secret Wars is that it will turn out like the Arrowverse crisis on Infinite Earths and focus around useless cameos.
You know what? There's not a lot. I mean, there was Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker, but there's not a lot that has disappointed me as much on a screen. I'm not saying it's the worst thing, but that actually disappointed me as much as that CW Crisis on Infinite Earths, because I personally looked forward every year to the big Arrowverse crossover. I always liked the Crisis on Earth X was particularly good. But I liked all of them. I liked all their crossover events that they would do. And then came Crisis on Infinite Earths, and obviously that's a big title. A lot of people were excited. That was garbage.
Wait a second.
Uh-oh.
Was all their crossover stuff had Crisis in the name?
No.
Okay.
No, just the two. There was Crisis on Earth X.
Thank God.
And then there was, but all there, to me, like I looked forward to those every single year. Like it started just, I think, with Arrow and Flash, then expanded, and you had Supergirl, and then the Legends of Tomorrow were in there, and then Black Lightning came into it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was terrible. I hated that. And it's like, everybody made a big deal that Tom Welling, the original Smallville star, is going to be, oh my God, this is going to be so awesome. Turns out it was for one scene that had no impact on the thing whatsoever. It was just, hey, everybody, look, it's Tom Welling and whatever her face's name is who played Lois. I really liked her, by the way. I just can't remember the actress's name. Anyway,
yeah.
Look, they're here. And then we heard, Tom, who's the name of the guy who plays Tom Ellis, who played Lucifer. Lucifer's going to be in it from a totally different network. This is going to be awesome. Totally pointless. It was just useless. First of all, the story was garbage. And then all these like little fan service cameos that really didn't have any impact on anything. It was a big disappointment. I really didn't like it. And
so they had Lucifer in it?
Yeah. Yeah, Tom Ellis. So they show up Constantine.
Oh, that's sick.
Who was on Legends of Tomorrow at the time.
Uh-huh.
He's like, I know someone who can help. And they go to Lucifer's nightclub and they knock on the door, and lo and behold, out comes Tom Ellis as Lucifer. Listen, as somebody who loved that show, who loved the Lucifer show, super cool, but it was pointless. It was like, really? You figure out a way to have Lucifer from a Fox series on this, and that's what you did?
Yeah,
it was just
throwaway.
Oh, yeah, especially the Tom Welling thing. By the time they got to the side, yeah, well, I don't have powers anymore because of reasons. And okay, sorry, couldn't help you more. Bye. It's like, what was the point? It was just so empty. Anyway. All right, what's next?
All right, Corey R. writes, got my ticket for Operation Fortune on Saturday. Very excited for this one.
Tell you what, Jason Statham, who I love. Guy Ritchie is the director, who I love. Wesley, the Dread Pirate Roberts. It's always cool to see him pop up in things. What? And isn't Aubrey Plaza in this too?
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
Aubrey, yeah. Yeah, I love Aubrey. Who doesn't love Aubrey Plaza?
So we got 3 loves and 1 you like seeing him so far.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just taking count.
It adds up. It builds up. It's going to have huge payoff. I can't wait to see this movie. Although I'm a little bit worried about how much they've ignored marketing it.
Right.
That does concern me, but whatever. I'm going to go in. They didn't market The Gentleman all that much either, and I love that movie. So I'm going to have I have faith in Guy Ritchie. So let's see how this goes. All right, what's next?
All right. Eddie Vedder's stunt double is here. What source material, book, game, etc., did you at one time think would have been impossible to bring to the big screen, but that filmmakers actually pulled it off? For me, it was Lord of the Rings.
Oh, it was Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Listen, The Hobbit was the first book I ever read. I mean, obviously there was Mr. Muggs. I don't know. Did you guys in the States have Mr. Muggs?
No.
Probably not. Okay. All my Canadian brethren out there, you know what I'm talking about. we grew up when we were in grade 2 and 3, we get the little Mr. Muggs books. But the first real book, I read that my mom gave me to read was The Hobbit. There it is. That's Mr. Oh my God, did I just get hit with nostalgia? I have not seen a Mr. Muggs thing in ages.
I'm going to buy you a brand new sealed copy of that.
No, that's not necessary. But man, that does.
Coming tomorrow, Prime.
Shit, I feel like I'm in grade school again. Anyway, but The Hobbit was the first book I ever read, and there was no way that could be made. Other than animated, which they did, but there's no way that could be made. Like, just not possible. So yeah, that's I'm with you on that 100%. That's the one to me.
I don't have one, John. Can I answer this a little bit? I don't have one, but there is a book that I read that it's supposed to be coming out, and I still don't believe they're going.
The Bible.
Artemis. Andy Weir. It's about the people living on the moon. People who actually live
I thought they were making that.
We reported that a little while ago, but I haven't heard anything about it, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's. But yeah, I would be surprised if that actually comes out.
All right. What's next?
All right. Thunder Force 2000. Do you think The Last of Us will end after completing the story of part 2, or do you see it continuing on?
They are going to have a Last of Us 3. I mean, the game. There's going to be a Last of Us 3. And and you know what? They might make that game concurrently as they're filming season 3. Now, then again, I personally think they're going to take Last of Us 2, the game, and I think they're going to break that into 2 seasons. I don't have any definitive thing on that. There have been some whispers and rumors and some reports, but
that'd buy time for the game.
That will give them plenty of time to get a Last of Us 3 game out and them to do that. But then again, listen, HBO does not just drag things out for no reason. Mm-hmm. Like Succession is like one of the top shows on television right now, and they're ending it after this new season. By the way, the new trailer for it dropped. You see that? The trailer for Succession season 4 dropped today.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it.
It looks fantastic. Anyway, so, I mean, maybe they just ended after season 3, which I think would be Last of Us 2 part 2. But yeah, but listen, they have plenty of time to get a third game out, because we'd probably at least be, 2026, 2027 till a season 3 would come out?
Well, that's if they've started development on those games. I mean, with all the mocap and everything, there's so many.
But as long as they have the story of the game, right? As long as the story
you're
of the game
saying to
is
inform
there.
the series.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as they don't rush the game, then sure.
Yes. All right. What's next?
All right. Fangblaze71 writes, my biggest question about Mandalorian season 3 is how he's supposed to prove he bathed in the river if is he gonna FaceTime the armorer while going in?
I think they trust his honor, because the only reason the armorer even knows that he took off his helmet was she said, have you ever taken off your helmet? Mm-hmm. He said, yes.
Oh, man.
His honor. It's his honor. She never would have known. He could have just lied to her, but he didn't. And I think because of that, his word is good to her. Now, they're going to come up with some kind of a plot device where he can bring actually something back that proves he did it. Maybe he'll find a piece of an ancient Mandalorian shrine that would only be in the waters of Mandalore or something like that. But at this point, I mean, if you're thinking about the story, like, his word is good to her. Even if he's not a Mandalorian anymore, he told her the truth. He basically excommunicated himself by telling the truth. Mm-hmm. So I think his word would be good to her. Maybe. All right, what's next?
All right, Suthius writes, I'll only buy bagged AMC popcorn if Kidman's on it. Look no further, friend.
And for those of you who missed it, we talked on the John Campea Show a little bit earlier today that a story came out that AMC is going to start selling AMC bagged popcorn at Walmart. And I get, there's a novelty to that you're actually, like, if you're going to stay in and watch a movie tonight, that you're going to actually get movie popcorn. I can see you got this big AMC bag. There's a novelty to that.
People might like it more than Orville or something like that.
Maybe, but Orville Redenbacher's got some good corn. Oh, yeah. Man. They got some good popcorn.
I'm real curious about it, though. Will half of the popcorn end up on my shirt like it does in the theater?
I have no doubt.
That will happen.
Because when the theater lights come on, that's when I realize how much of an animal I am. Because I'm like, how did I miss so much popcorn? It's all over my shirt. So then I'll stand up, I'll hold the bucket right underneath me, so it all slides into the bucket.
Oh, God. When he brings Chipotle into the movie theater.
Oh, none of that gets on my shirt.
Oh, it's even
That's all down the gullet.
All right, what's next?
Popcorn tastes better in a place like yours. All right, My Comic Planet writes, I watched 8 Mile last night.
Nice.
It made me wonder what would have happened if Clarence didn't let Eminem go first. Also, fun fact, Eminem was actually roasting Anthony Mackie, not Anthony's character. Oh, like get into the moment?
Roasting, yeah.
I rewatched a bit of it. God, what was it? A year or two ago. It's been forever since I watched it. True story. I had totally forgotten that was Anthony Mackie in the movie until like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I was watching parts of it against like
Papa Doc or whatever his name
holy
is.
shit, it's Anthony Mackie in that. Listen, let's nobody forget that Eminem had an Academy Award before Martin Scorsese.
Oh,
just want to remind everybody that Eminem, who did get an Academy Award for that tune, what was it? Knees weak, palms are sweaty, vomit on a sweater already, mom's spaghetti.
Move yourself or something?
Yep. Lose yourself.
Lose yourself. Move yourself is a different
Mean Streets,
story.
what?
The
Mean
music,
Streets who?
the moment. You want it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. I mean, it's a great song. Won him an Academy Award. Totally deserved it. All right. What's next?
All right. Danilo writes, in an acting class and every time the teacher says scripts, I chuckle. Y'all have ruined the word for me.
Scripts is one of the best running gags we've ever had on the show. Some of those pictures what's the one you did? It wasn't the magic. I think your Magic Mike one might have been the kill.
I kind of like the Don't Worry, Darling one.
The Don't Worry, Darling one is great because it looks so legit. The MODOK one is fantastic too. I still like the Scooby-Doo one.
Oh,
the Velma one.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Velma one is
that was
killer.
the originator.
That was the first one. There it is. Send me your script.
They're all here.
24-hour marathon after show. I love that. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Suthius who writes here. I looked up credits for season 3, episode 1, and guess who the suit actor for the Pirate King is? Carrie freaking Jones, Tracker Predator, Man Thing, and Black Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, that's the giant Wookiee bounty hunter.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea. That is very cool to hear. Yeah, listen, the more I think about it, I really do think that first episode of Mandalorian season 3 was pretty damn solid. I mean, I have some problems with it, yes, but when you actually go over in your head all the things that episode set up and established, your main quest, the sub-quest, the sub-quest. Of course, main quest, bathe in Mandalore. Sub-quest, I need IG-11 first. To get IG-11, the sub-quest, I need to get this part. They set up the new way, the way Navarro has advanced. They set up the minor antagonist with the Pirate King. They got a little bit of Bo-Katan in there. They actually accomplished a lot in a very, very short period of time. So I think they did a pretty good job with it. At any rate, listen, guys, we still have more questions to get to. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment here and thank the sponsors of our videos this week, our friends at Rocket Money and Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. The average person has around 12 paid subscriptions. Think about that. If you think you're only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all of your unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want and don't even use. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. My wife Ann and I moved out of Burbank 2 years ago, and one of the first things I discovered when I loaded up Rocket Money was that I was still paying for a gym membership I haven't even been to in Burbank in 2 years. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process couldn't have been easier, and I can't believe that I am spending less than a third of what I was spending on one of the other major carriers before. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Rocket Money and, of course, my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile, for sponsoring this video. All right, guys, that down. Let's get back to it here and keep going to your questions. What do we got up next?
Okay, we've got a Min who writes, how would you rank Denis Villeneuve's last 4 films, Dune, Blade Runner, Arrival, and Sicario?
Starting at the bottom, Arrival, Sicario, Blade Runner 2049, and Dune. I really, the funny thing is, I don't even like the original Dune. I'm one of the very, very few people I know that didn't like the original Dune. Not original Dune, the original Blade Runner. I did not like the original Blade Runner, but I really like Blade Runner 2049. But yeah, I thought Dune was even better than that. So yeah, that's how I would rank them. And where was Prisoners and all that?
He said the last 4.
No, just the last 4 films.
Was the Prisoners older than Sicario? I mean, I'm terrible with movie dates, like absolutely awful with movie dates. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's.
Don't tell him so he continues being awful.
Yeah, it's gonna totally like
the one with Jake Gyllenhaal and
and Hugh Jackman.
That was 2013.
And Sicario
was after that.
Yeah, it was after that. Okay, yeah, I stand. See, I'm terrible with movie dates.
Yeah, so it was 2 years. Yeah.
What's next?
All right, because Cinema Reviews writes, I just realized that every season of The Mandalorian begins with him fighting a giant lizard monster.
That's not true. I mean, the first season started with him just getting his bounty, isn't it?
Right. He walks into that bar.
Yeah.
And then
Does he fight a lizard later on in that episode?
Kind of. It's not even a lizard. It's like a mammoth kind of thing.
I can't remember that now. Oh, now this is going to bug me. All right. What's next?
All right, Fangblaze71 writes, did any of you guys ever watch Marvel's Cloak and Dagger show? I remember likening it to, I think just liking it, and would like to see a Cloak and Dagger Disney Plus show.
I did. It started off pretty good, but it just lost momentum to me, and I kind of bailed on it before the end of the first season. Like, again, it started off interesting. The whole setup of it was interesting. And, you know, it's kind of being done in the vein of The Runaways, which I really did like The Runaways a lot. But, yeah, Cloak and Dagger, it was a little bit of a miss for me. I didn't hate it, not terrible, but just wasn't good enough to keep me interested in it. I'd be okay if they never went back to it.
It was on one of those streaming services, right? It wasn't on. I think that's why I didn't watch it, because I couldn't access it.
I thought it was on Hulu.
Yeah.
I know The Runaways was on Hulu. I can't remember.
I was thinking Hulu too. So
yeah, it was either that or Netflix, one of the two. All right, what's next?
All right, looks like John Birch has a couple here for us. Did you see the viral video with Michael B. Jordan being interviewed by a former classmate? He used to make fun of him in high school. Michael did not forget about it, and he let her know. Awkward.
I heard all about it. I did not watch it.
It's cringe.
I mean, yeah, it sounds like one of those things that would just make me feel uncomfortable, so I didn't bother with it. But I mean,
and it was like, what? I mean, was it like, I'm pissed off at you, or was it like, oh, I got you?
I don't know. Again, I just heard about it.
It must have been that bad, man. If a guy that seems so cool like Michael B. Jordan, it still hurts him or something, whatever, it still gets him.
Yeah, I mean, so again, I didn't watch it, so I can have no commentary on it.
Y'all better watch out who you're bullying, or just don't bully at all. You know what I mean? Because that thing sometimes can come back to you.
Not a good idea to bully. No, don't bully everybody. Don't bully. All right, what's next?
All right, John Birch writes, we keep talking about what is wrong with the MCU, but what if this is just the new norm now? Some hits, but a lot of misses. What happens if the quality never gets back to where it was? Well,
Then
shareholders are not going to be happy.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like, look, when I know it got some attention and rubbed some people the wrong way when I said that the MCU had lost its magic, but I clarify what I meant by that. But because you got to understand how difficult it is to make a great movie. That's one of the biggest problems with us as film fans, is that we come to just kind of think, oh, it's easy to make a great movie. No, it's not. It's Herculean. It's so ridiculously impossible to make a great movie. And when I talked about that Marvel's lost its magic, is that Marvel had this magic for like 3 full phases where almost every single movie that came out was an incredible banger, was huge critic rating, huge audience rating, huge box office. Boom, next movie, huge audience rating, huge critic rating, huge box office. Next, huge, like win. They, like, we did this run between like 2016. Remember we did this on the show the other day? Between like 2016 and 2019. It was like this string of like 8, 9, 10 movies in a row that was all like insane. You go through the first 25 films of the MCU, and I can point to Iron Man 2 and Thor
2.
The Dark World. Other than that, it was like winner after winner after winner after winner. Just even, it's just insane. And so when I said that Marvel's lost its magic, I meant that that's gone. Now they're just like everybody else. Probably still a little bit better than everybody else. But I mean, it used to be that when I would go to a Marvel movie, I knew, not hoped, I knew that I was going to have a great time and see a great fun movie. Now, that's not true. Now it's a coin toss. Now I walk into the movie, it's like, am I going to get Shang-Chi or am I going to get She-Hulk? Because you just don't know anymore. That magic of every time you go, you are in for a banger, that's not the case anymore. Mm-hmm. And it very well could be that this is the new norm. But now listen, I also was very careful to specify this. In as much that the magic left and they seem to have lost their magic, it can come back quickly, right? It can come back very, very quickly. This is still the studio that made Spider-Man No Way Home. This is still the studio that made Shang-Chi. This is still the studio that made WandaVision. I have not lost sight of that. And when Guardians 3 comes out, and hopefully it's great, then all of a sudden the world can feel like it's right again. But we have never had, in the past 15 years, we have never had a string of, I didn't like Hawkeye, and I didn't like She-Hulk, and I didn't love Moon Knight, and I didn't like Ant-Man. I certainly didn't love Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. We've never had that before. So you're right. This might be the new normal, but hopefully it's not. And we'll see.
Disney Plus too. The addition of Disney Plus,
has
where
hurt them.
they have to pump out more content.
Yep,
Maybe
it's hurt them.
Quality, yeah. So
no doubt, they're overstretched themselves.
To be fair, though, I mean, if you look at the pre-MCU movies, most franchises didn't get past 3 that I liked.
Exactly.
You know, Spider-Man 3 I didn't like. X-Men 3 I didn't like. So
again, that's why the MCU had that magic.
Right.
They were able to do stuff that nobody had been able to accomplish before. And they got to a point where over 20 films in, they were averaging $1 billion per film on average. Never been done before. But now it kind of feels like they're just another studio making movies that maybe we'll love and maybe we won't. And that's just not what we're used to with the MCU. All right, what's next?
All right, James Wheeler writes, hello, everyone. Perfect time for your show to begin because at 4 p.m. is the Brewers against the Sabres. Let's go, Bruins.
They probably mean the Bruins there. 2 of the classic teams. I mean, Buffalo was obviously not one of the original 6. Boston was. But, I mean, growing up in Toronto, I used to watch a lot of Buffalo Sabre games. I used to love I remember watching the Sabres when Dominic Hasek was their goalie. Before he went on to Detroit. I love them. And of course the Bruins, Ray Bourque. When I would play hockey as a kid, the one year that I played as a kid, I wore number 4 for wait a second. No, 4 was Bobby Orr. I wore? Which one was Ray Bourque? Maybe Ray Bourque was 77. No, that was Paul Coffey. Anyway, I remember I wore Ray Bourque's number. I can't remember what number it was now, but I used to wear Ray Bourque's number. And enjoy the game, man. I went to an NHL game last night. Ann and I and a couple of friends of ours, we went to go see the Ducks play the Washington Capitals. I have never had a chance to see Alexander Ovechkin play live. And the guy who is the only living person who has a chance maybe of catching Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring record. And I'd never had a chance to watch him play live. I got to watch him play live last night. He didn't score, but still it was really fun being able to watch him play. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Eddie Vedder's stunt double again in Deadpool 3. Do you think it will be Wolverine fighting Deadpool 3 or fighting, well, Deadpool? Or do you think there will be an actual villain and they fight for a bit and then team up?
Exactly that. It'll be exactly like a lot of these other movies where the heroes fight each other and it's like, hey, wait a minute, we're actually on the same side. And then they fight the bigger threat. I think that's the way they're going to go. It's a tried and true sort of thing. As long as they don't have a Martha moment, they should be perfectly fine. But yeah, I do think you can't have Deadpool and Wolverine and not have them fight. You got to have them fight. And I think that'll happen early. And then they'll be working together against whoever. I forget the name of the actress. They already announced the actress that's going to be playing the villain in the film. And I can't remember her name. But, and then they'll join forces and fight her probably. All right, what's next?
All right, Fangblaze71. I remember I made this Flash logo, my profile pic in middle school when the Flash movie was announced. Now I'm 21. Took them long enough to make it. There it is.
9 years.
Do not take that profile pic off until the movie comes out.
9 freaking years. It will be from when they announced that they were going to be doing a Flash movie, because they announced it 1 week after this brand new Flash TV show on CW aired. It was 9 years ago from when they announced the movie to when this movie's coming out.
Which
someday they have to make a movie about trying to get the Flash movie made, especially with all the drama with Ezra Miller and everything. They got to make a movie about this someday. Have to.
I mean, in the span of someone like 9 years to us it's a long time, but to go from middle school to graduating college, that's a lot of formative years.
That's a lot of time. All right, what's next?
All right, Raymond Verada writes, Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 3 dropped, and the Star Trek YouTubers are stoked over the big reveal. No spoilers, it's good. Again,
everybody's saying it's great. And hey, listen, Rob has been telling everybody, because Rob, I don't know what's wrong with Rob. New Star Trek is great, but he's not like anything that doesn't have, frickin' William Shatner in it is shit to him. But he really liked Season 3. He told everybody, and a lot of people didn't believe him. A lot of people are starting to become believers now. All right, what's next?
All right, Daryl Best Wadley writes, any chance of a Creed 3 spoiler talk?
Nah. One of the things about in determining what we do a spoiler discussion on, particularly with movies, is how big will the movie be? Because, look, they're projecting that Creed 3 will be the biggest opening for a Rocky franchise film, but even then, it's only like $40 million. It just means there's just not enough people watching it, and more people should watch it, but there's just not enough people watching it to justify us doing an open spoiler discussion, because not enough people have seen it to then come and participate in an open spoiler discussion we're doing. So, and not to mention, when I do those movie open spoiler discussions, I have to do them on the weekends when my wife, Ray's sister, gets very unhappy with me that I'm taking time out of the weekends to do it. So it better damn well be worth it if I'm going to do that and take time out of the weekend.
And also, there's not much to spoil in the movie per se. So like maybe as soon as time passes by, a week or two or whatever, and if you want to talk about it on open mic, then yeah, let's talk about it. But I think a whole open spoiler discussion, like to dedicate a whole thing just for this movie, I don't think would.
See, I think a movie needs to open to at least like $70 million to say, okay, there's enough people who have seen it that it validates us doing an open spoiler discussion for it. And I just, Creed's not going to come anywhere close.
But I would love to talk about it sooner or later after everyone's went and watched it.
Me too. Yeah. All right, what's next?
All right, Motassim writes, what multiverse do you like more, Into the Spider-Verse or Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Everything Everywhere All at Once is a vastly superior movie to Spider-Man No Way Home.
No,
Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse, yeah.
Oh, here you go. Yep.
Okay, listen, got to remember, I believe that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was the third best movie of the year in 2018. Not the third best animated film, not the third best comic book film. I thought it was the third best movie of the year. I thought it was the best comic book movie of the year. And that's the same year that Black Panther and Infinity War came out. And I think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was the best comic book movie. I still believe that to this day. And I'll argue anybody about that. I think it's the superior movie. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'll give it's probably going to win the best Oscar, the Oscar for Best Picture at the Academy Awards this year. So, and God, that movie made an impression on me. I will ever so slightly, like, the best use of multiverse, I'll say, goes to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But the best movie about multiverse, that's going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once. But not by much. Not by much. All right, what's next?
Orange Hand writes, some films have fairly obvious use of ADR.
Yeah.
Is re-recording dialogue always necessary, even for big studio movies, and shouldn't they make it less obvious?
Everybody tries their best. Look, it's, again, what we as film fans unfortunately do, and I'm guilty of it sometimes, you're guilty of it, everybody's guilty of this sometimes, is we all just think everything that they do in movies is easy. But sometimes it's very, very difficult. And yes, sometimes ADR, like, nobody wants to do ADR, but it becomes absolutely necessary sometimes. You just have to. You know, there's glitches in the audio, or you tried your best. You had the best sound people in the world, but if you're doing a scene where a couple of people are walking down a street in New York City, you know what? The audio just might end up being unusable, and you got to go and do ADR. Not to mention Foley and like other types of sounds and whatever. It's an art. Sometimes it turns out better. Sometimes it turns out worse. But I mean, these are being done by people who have professionally done it half their lives. So if it doesn't turn out great, it's most likely a scenario where it would have been very, very difficult for it to turn out great, which should just make us appreciate even more when it's done well. But the problem is we see it done well so often with these great professionals, we just think it's easy, but it's not. It's really, really hard. And sometimes little things like that will happen. I mean, hey, listen, if you can have a visual thing, like somebody pointed out to me the other day, that in that one shot in that episode of Last of Us, when there's the big aerial shot, it looks like a drone shot, you can actually see the camera crew in the corner of the picture frame, right? Or Game of Thrones with a freaking Starbucks cup. I mean, like, look, little things like that happen, not just in visual, but also in audio. So yeah, don't hold it against them too much. All right, what's next?
All right, Eddie Vedder Stunt Double writes, do you have any specific genre type movies that you wish there were more of? For me, it's more original time traveling movies, not based on previous IP. Time
travel sucks in movies. I hate time travel in movies. With a couple of very, 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 very few exceptions. Star Trek 4 and Back to the Future. Anytime else, time travel is a lazy man's thing, because there is no problem that you can come up with in any movie or story that can't be fixed with time travel. I hate time travel in movies. I wish there was less. I think a big, somebody else pointed out another pretty decent one, which is Looper. Looper's another pretty good one. And I'm sure there are others. Just most of the time that there's time travel, I find to be just very, very lazy writing. Very lazy.
I don't want to call it out, but this guy just told you he loves time travel movies, and you just told him it.
Well, I mean, say, listen, that's the great thing about movies. We can all love different things.
But he's like, I'm gonna tell you this, it sucks. That cracks me up.
Let me tell you something about time travel movies. They suck, and if you like them, you suck. No,
I get it.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of movies and things in movies I like that other people hate too. That's the fun thing about movies. We all like different things. I personally do not like multiverse. Again, there's exceptions. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I mean, I generally don't like time travel.
Yeah.
For me, honestly, thanks to Taylor Sheridan, we're getting hints of it. I think we need more Westerns, man. Like really good Westerns. We don't get many on the big screen.
Good Westerns.
What's that?
Good Westerns.
Good Westerns. Yeah. We don't get many. I mean, the last great Western I think I saw in movie theaters was probably 3:10 to Yuma. I think that was the last great Western I saw in movies. And how long ago was that?
You didn't like that remake of The Magnificent Seven?
I didn't like the remake that much.
You know what? I liked it.
It was okay.
Yeah. You had Denzel Washington.
Yeah, I think it was the last Western I watched.
Directed by the fabulous Antoine Fuqua, by the way. Fabulous director. I liked it. I had a good time, but it's not a great movie.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
that's
the
about
last
310.
time I think I saw a great Western, again, I think you got to go all the way back to Ben Foster, Christian Bale, Russell Crowe, 310 to Yuma.
No
That-
Country for Old Men wasn't Western, right?
No, but it
No,
had it.
but
like
it had
Western
DNA, right?
Yeah.
It had kind of it had Western DNA to it.
It just
but
didn't
just
have-
like Logan. Like Logan
Oh,
had
yeah,
Western DNA, but it wasn't really a Western.
But if
per
someone's
se.
told me they considered Logan a Western, I'd be like, that's fine. I'd have no
I
argument.
have no qualms with anybody who says they consider Logan a Western. I mean, it's not a Western, but it has the feel of a Western. So I could totally get why somebody would say that, and I would have no argument with that. But a true, legitimate Western, 310 to Yuma is the last great one I can remember.
I like the one Viggo Mortensen was in. Not Hidalgo. I mean, that was okay, but
Hidalgo was all right.
yeah, but no, there was another one. It was Appaloosa. I thought Appaloosa was pretty good.
You know what? I never did see that one.
Oh, okay.
Never did see that one. All right, what's next?
All right. Dildar the Glorious writes, I saw Ant-Man last week. I really liked it. Probably my favorite Ant-Man so far. MODOK was mad, but Kang freaking rules.
Again, this is a great example that film is subjective. Like, it hits us all in different ways. I did not like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, despite the fact that I love the Ant-Man character. I love Paul Rudd in these things. I'm a big fan of Peyton Reed, the guy who directed it. Wasn't a big fan of it. But just because one film fan didn't love something doesn't mean three others can't love it. Or vice versa, right? And that's the great thing about movies. And if you had a good time watching that movie, man, that is awesome. That's what it's all about. And I'm glad you had
And
you
you know,
enjoyed yourself.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
you liked it too. You
I
had
really
a good time
enjoyed
with it.
I just kept thinking like, okay, but this is the part where they said it's going to suck. So I enjoyed the first half and I'm like, I mean, that wasn't that bad. And then, it gets worse here. I know it's going to get worse. And then I like the fact that like Rob complained like, well, that's not what you want from an Ant-Man. Well, they made it clear. He's a fish out of water in this movie.
Yeah, and you're right. It's a little bit of it is very much actually a fish out of water movie, unlike the other Ant-Man films.
But anyway, I can go on. I won't.
All right, what's next?
CJ Rebirth says, one thing I loved about TDKR.
The Dark Knight Returns?
Oh, yeah. The Dark Knight
Dark Knight
Returns.
Rises, I mean?
Or Rises, yeah. Was Bruce Selena stuff. And fun fact, her blue dress at the end is a callback to the blue rose from Begins when he started to be Batman, but he now no longer has to be Batman. That's interesting.
I'll tell you what. Going into that movie, the Oscar-winning actress who played Catwoman, why am I freezing out? She won an Academy Award for Les Mis.
Yeah, gosh, yes.
I'm looking at her face in my head, and for whatever reason, I'm freezing. We're all freezing on her name right now. Anne Hathaway. Jake Clark was the first person to throw that in the live chat, as did CG. Anne Hathaway. I'll tell you what. Going into the movie, I like Anne Hathaway. Don't get me wrong. I like her. But going into the movie, and I was watching the trailers for The Dark Knight Rises, I'm like, ooh, my biggest question mark was Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. To me, in the trailers, I just was not feeling it. I just wasn't feeling it. She might have been the best part of that movie. She ended up being a fantastic Catwoman. It was a very different kind of iteration than I think a lot of people were expecting, but she may have very well been the best part of that movie. I loved her in that movie. I thought she was a great character, and her dynamic with Christian Bale as Bruce was real. I mean, it certainly was a lot better than the dynamic than Christian Bale had with either Maggie Gyllenhaal or
yeah.
Tom Cruise's baby mama. I can't remember her name. But anyway, but yeah, I thought she was great in that. All right, what's next?
Okay, next up we've got just support from Remy Alestra, and that's it.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much, guys, for coming by, hanging out, and chatting with us today. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats, number one, because it gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Guys, don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow for the next episode of the John Campea Show. We'll look forward to seeing you then. And in the meantime, guys, a big thank you to, of course, back there, Ray Ora. Right beside him running the show, Jonathan Voico. My name's John Campea, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.